All right, Hannah, we are live. Welcome in, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this Tuesday teaching. I am excited to introduce one of our newer team members. She's been with us for some months now, but you guys probably haven't seen her face. I'll start with myself. If you don't know me, my name is Haley Wassinger. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Shop Marketing Pros. I've sat in a few various positions, including social media, which is why I'm helping to moderate and host today. But I also have Hannah Cribbs with me, who is one of our messaging strategists. So she lives, breathes, works in our messaging and social media team all day, every day. And today we're going to be talking about turning your social media into a search tool for your shop. So I'll let Hannah get into a little more what we mean by that, because I think it's a pretty hot topic with all of the AI search talk right now. So I'll let Hannah introduce, but if you are joining us, please sound off in the comments. Let us know you're here. Let us know where your shop is or your shop name, and we will get started. So Hannah, go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Haley. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to dive into talking about why social search is quickly overtaking Google search as the place people now go to research, to discover, shop, all the things. So we'll break down what's changing, what this means, and then we're going to go into the 5 strategies to grow your sales through social search. So first, we're going to start off by just going into talking about Google and how the dominance there is slipping. It's not just a statistic, it really is changing people's behavior. Consumers are tired of the ads, the SEO stuffing, and outdated pages. And instead, they're now jumping into platforms they trust, like Instagram and TikTok. The content there will feel real, relevant, and immediate. So think about this. This is pretty crazy. When I was researching this, 1 in 4 people are searching on TikTok within 30 seconds of opening the app. And then 3 out of 4 TikTok shoppers use it as their main way to discover new brands. And people are spending hours every single day in these apps. So this is not just like casual behavior. It's definitely like a new default habit for so many people. And in this new landscape, the rules for visibility are really different. So short form video is taking over. People are tired of watching like longer videos, becoming bored with them very quickly. So if you're not searchable in the short form video, then you basically don't exist on these platforms. And the importance here is, sorry guys, this is kind of glitching on my end. Okay, here. Accessibility is key for these videos. So even if you are searchable, but they're not accessible for everybody to be a part of, then people aren't going to be able to, like, there's no point in people being able to search for your things. So accessibility is key. And I'll show a clip here in a second. Since a third of users use without sound, that's why this is so important. And the biggest shift is that relevance and authenticity matter more than just your reach. So like the polished ads are out, and then people talking about like their real experiences or what is really in on TikTok and Instagram. So right here is one of my clients being searchable on TikTok because they had gone viral on TikTok. And then this next video is showing why the accessibility of videos is really important, because it has like the captions on the screen that generate. So for users that are watching without sound, they're able to watch it too. Here we go. Sorry, guys.
Most shops treat an oil change like it's a drive-through burger. At RDI Power, it's a full inspection on your engine's health.
And then this next video is a video that's just showing like the overall like authenticity and how that is super important in these videos.
Came to RDI to get some work done on my truck. I do over-the-road hauling, so my shocks went out. Needed some new shocks. Right away, they got me in. They took care of me. Great price, great customer service.
So this obviously is like a customer sharing his real and like authentic experience with the shop. And those kind of things go so far on both TikTok and Instagram.
I want to dig into that a little bit more too, Hannah, of just really driving home the idea that you don't need to be super polished, right? Like these TikTok short form videos, these reels that we're seeing posted, We are seeing very polished, edited videos. But on the other hand, I feel like it's kind of 50-50. It's people that just take their phone out and they start recording. So I really don't. I feel like short form video isn't a new topic, but it still kind of is. If you have taken any webinar or a class from Shop Marketing Pros in the last few years, you know we stress the importance of video. Our friend Chris Enright out there is like the king of short form video in the automotive repair shop. Also Justin Allen with Hunter. So we have these people that are in the short form video space in automotive, but even those people, they are huge advocates for just taking out your phone and recording the video. It doesn't have to be polished. So don't let the fear of not being polished stop you from getting on these platforms and recording these short form videos, because like Hannah is presenting to us, this is a new form of search. This is one of the newest ways that your auto repair shop can be found outside of Google, even outside of the LLMs that everybody's wanting to rank and be found in search for. This is just in addition to that, another supplement for it. And so if you're not just taking out the mini videography or photography studio that you have in your pocket, aka your iPhone, you're really missing out by having the chance to show on these social media platforms, like Hannah said, that people are just now defaulting to out of habit. They're not going to Google anymore. I mean, a lot of them are, but they're also going to social now, which is a newer trend that we weren't seeing in the last few years, like Hannah said.
Yeah, definitely so. And then for kind of going more in depth here, there's like a 5S framework for social search success to kind of like make sure you're following these guidelines to set you up for success on these platforms. So I'm going to kind of go into each one in a second, but right now I'm just going to read them off to you. So it starts with search, and then we have style, and then we have start, substance, and signal. So starting off with search, first, this one's all about knowing your audience's questions and then giving them the content that answers those questions. It's important to note here that search on socials is more keyword and trend based than an entire question being searched like on a Google platform. It's also important to note and to make sure that these keywords are in your content that you're producing so you can be searchable on TikTok and Instagram.
And I think too, when Hannah says create content that answers their specific questions, again, if you've ever taken a webinar or a class from Shop Marketing Pros, you've heard us talk about the TIA method, or they ask, you answer. It's a book, but it's also a framework that we follow in creating content about answering the specific questions that your customers are asking. So what I always like to say in the classes that I teach is have your service advisor keep a pen and paper next to the phone. And when customers are calling, asking specific questions, have them be writing down those questions and those topics and use that as a bank to create this short form content from. So for example, if they're calling, asking about a common problem that happens with BMWs and you're a European shop, create a video that shows off what that common problem is and how your shop goes about fixing it, because the keywords that people are going to be searching regarding that is whatever the problem is. Oil leaks on my BMW or whatever it might be. And you have the ability for your video and your content to show up in the search for that keyword base.
Yeah, definitely so. It's super important to just make sure that you're not overcomplicating your content and instead just like answering the questions that realistically your customers, clients, future clients want to be hearing from you. And then next we have style. So this one's a little simple. So it's basically just picking a format that fits your brand and your message and like sticking to that. So for instance, whether that's like tutorials or behind the scenes videos or whatever it may be that fits your shop's overall just kind of vibe. sticking to like one style is super important, or a few different styles, but just like knowing what your style is. And then next is start. So this one is really important. It's about hooking people in the first second with bold visuals and making sure that it's really easy to read, because oftentimes there's graphics with words that are way too small or just like super intense looking with too much going on. And people are just going to scroll from that instead of like clicking and paying attention and listening. So you want to make sure you hook the like the reader or the watcher very quickly. And then next we have substance. This is about showing the real experience, the authentic wins over like the polished looking videos and images. So we kind of talked a little bit about this before. It is important to show the polished side of your shop as well, you know, to make sure people know that, you know, you're legit, you have all these things, but also it's important to show the behind the scenes of like, hey, we're real people and we care about you and we care about what you're asking questions about. And, you know, here's what real clients of ours are saying. And here's what, you know, the behind the scenes things that are going on. So it's really important to give that substance. And then last is signal. This is about being sure to always tell your viewer to like the next step and like what to do next. So whether that means commenting, sharing, buying, you want to make this step super easy for your reader, watcher, viewer. You want them to know what to do next if they want to do it.
I want to just go back and add a few tidbits about start and substance too. And start, which is what Hannah said, is hooking the viewer immediately. And again, keep in mind, most people scroll with the sound off. So you want to hook them. You want to find a hook that works even with someone's sound off or with captions, whatever it may be. But this is just another content framework that we follow, and it's called the Story Brand Framework. And essentially, it's all about putting your customers' problems first and meeting them with empathy. Someone is more likely to stop scrolling and watch a video when the very first thing that they see is something that they can relate to. So I always like to put it in an example like this. One of our customer avatars that we use as an example all the time is Minivan Mary. She is a single mom that uses her minivan to get her kids to and from school, to and from sports practice. And so if she doesn't have a reliable vehicle, or if her vehicle isn't safe, like that is what she cares about. Safety of her family inside of the car and being able to get them to and from school and practice or whatever it is. So if the very first thing you hook someone with is safety, you're going to grab the attention of Minivan Mary, because that's what's important to her, is again, safety of her family in that vehicle. So whatever that looks like to your customers, if you are targeting fleets, it's going to be about keeping your customers' fleets on the road so they have the ability to make money for their business. So think about what that hook looks like for you. Think about your customers' most common issues or problems, and meet them with empathy and work on a solution for that and lead with that in your content. And then the next thing I want to hit on is the substance. This is something we're actually talking about at Shop Marketing Pros in our own social media right now as well. But it's really just a good like blanket rule of thumb is you don't want to hit someone all the time with book an appointment, book an appointment, book an appointment, book an appointment, because then it becomes a little bit transactional, right? And you want to show that you care about your customers more than just that transactional dollar. You want to show that, again, you care about their safety, you care about their convenience, you care about their stress levels. You want to make the auto repair experience less stressful for them, because let's face it, nobody likes bringing their cars into an auto repair shop. And so when you are just hitting them with sell, appointment every time, it begins to feel transactional. So yes, of course, mix that in. We're not saying to stray away from that by any means, because essentially what you want is for people to walk through your door and swipe their card, right? But mix in also substance, like Hannah is saying, education, knowledge. Share educational or knowledge tips for people to take care of their own vehicles so they don't end up in that stressful point. Share things about your team. Show that there are real people behind the tools and behind the desks at your shop. Celebrate your team wins, your team trainings, whatever that looks like. Like I said, we're having this conversation a lot at Shop Marketing Pros right now too, of we put out so much content as far as blogs go. We have a ton of blog content that we're always working on and always putting out. But the kind of content that does best on our socials is the content that has our team's faces in it, whether it be work anniversaries, birthdays. We're doing days in the life right now. So find ways to incorporate real human elements, fun things, educational things. Again, thinking beyond just that transactional type of post where you're pushing people to book an appointment. And all of those things that I mentioned, even the day in the life, the the educational things like blogs, those things still drive those appointments because it's showing people that you are the expert in your area. It's making you the authority on whatever topic you're talking about. And it's just making you more likable when you're showing the human side of your shop. And we always say people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So all of that still drives appointments without that big, bold, transactional messaging of book an appointment and come spend your money with me.
No, definitely so. I notice on my clients, like also with the substance, I think like the testimonials and sharing reviews of people who have come to your shop and had a great experience, that goes so far here. I notice like such good interaction and engagement with my clients when they're sharing just like realistic testimonials from clients. And then like Haley said, when it comes to like sharing your team's birthdays, sharing their work anniversaries, showing that you like really love your team and like treat people who work for you really well. I have noticed such great engagement on those kinds of posts and just overall shop culture, like just showing what your shop's like. And this can be easy to do like in little behind the scenes things of like walking up to someone in your shop, someone who works for you, and ask them like a quick, like funny question and getting their answer. Like it can be as easy as that, but people love to see just kind of like the realness behind your shop. And so however you can give them that, there's so many different ways to do so, but however you can give them that as quickly as possible will naturally just boost your sales without you having to say, call us today to book the appointment, click the booking link. Like, yes, those things are important, but those should be like secondary things to first giving them like knowledge, tips, and just like information about your team and your shop.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to just kind of talking about why this is not just a trend either. So this really is not a temporary trend. Social search is a fundamental shift in consumer behavior. The brands that will embrace the whole movement will see stronger sales, stronger visibility, and overall just more customer loyalty. And those that don't, they simply just won't be showing up where people are actually searching. And basically, like, here's the big picture is that Google isn't what it used to be. Consumers are searching directly in TikTok and Instagram, where trust and relevance drive decisions. So this 5S framework, kind of just going back to it. So search, style, start, substance, and signal. This 5S framework gives us the roadmap to doing these things. And the bottom line is if your brand isn't visible in social search, then you're invisible to your audience and growing your customer base.
Yeah. And just to kind of, I feel like I can speak to Google not being what it used to be, just living in the Google ads and pay-per-click world for as long as I did. Truthfully, like Google is trending down for multiple reasons, right? Because of AI overviews, because of the implementation of AI and LLMs. People are now going to things like ChatGPT to search, as we know. They're only relying on AI overviews. Habits of search are changing is the whole point. And they're changing and people are going outside of just Google. So just like I mentioned, people are now going to ChatGPT. People are also now going to things like TikTok and Instagram, as Hannah is saying. So big picture, like she said, is we need to back up and really reevaluate essentially where people are now searching, and social media is one of them. I like to tell this story of I was visiting Chicago a few years ago now. And actually, Hannah, when we were in Kane County together, I was visiting Chicago and I ate at this really great restaurant. And years later, I'm going back to Chicago. I was just in Chicago a couple weeks ago, and I was trying to remember the name of that restaurant, but it had been years since I had been there. But all I remembered about it is that the outside of the restaurant was red and it was in an alley. I didn't remember the name of it. I didn't remember the neighborhood. I essentially remembered nothing else about it. But I literally went to TikTok, I believe it was, and I searched Chicago red restaurant in alleyway. And lo and behold, like it literally took one scroll, I think, and it turns out that restaurant is called Trivoli Tavern. And I found it through searching those keywords, like Hannah said. So that is, and then I ended up going to the restaurant and following the restaurant, so I would never forget it again. But it's just a way, again, for brand visibility. We always say there's not a ton of ROI that comes back from social. It's very, very, very hard to measure ROI on social media, but social media is meant to be just that, social. And now we're kind of going beyond that, using it as a tool. And I'm not saying that, people are going to find you based on a keyword search and immediately book an appointment. But what they're going to do is find you, remember you, perhaps follow you, and then you're staying top of mind. And that's what social is meant for. It's a brand awareness driver. So this is just another way to drive that brand awareness. Hannah, we have a question from Megan, and she is asking, are Instagram and Facebook stories still a good option or not so much now since it's not saved as a reel? What are your thoughts on that?
I guess to kind of go into more of your question, like an option, like are you meaning as opposed to posting on your feed or like in addition to posting on your feed? Because that would kind of give me two different answers. I definitely think Instagram stories is still a great place to be posting and sharing things, because I often find that there's two different audiences that are like looking at Instagram feeds all the time and looking at Instagram stories all the time. So I like to share, if I'm sharing something on a feed, I like to share it on a story if I can, because it just basically grows your audience. And if you're only posting on stories, I would not necessarily do that. I think the feed is where you're going to be able to have like your long-term content that stays, that people can come back to, that you can help answer tons of questions like shop hours, what's going on at your shop, what they can expect at your shop, what they can see at your shop. I mean, people want to see what your shop looks like, who works at your shop, all the behind the scenes things. And so I think using a combination of your feed on Instagram as well as Facebook, like sharing to your newsfeed and then sharing to your story, I think that combination is a great combination to be doing daily, if not multiple times a week.
Yeah, and she did clarify she meant in addition to posting on the feed. So I think that is the perfect strategy, Megan. Like you post the reel to your feed, but then you also share as a story. Because like Hannah said, that just opens you up to two different kinds of audiences. And that's a really great point too, Hannah. Like there are people that get on Instagram and they won't scroll through a feed, but they're going to click through people's audiences or click through people's stories or go to the explore page or whatever it is. So, I like the thought that, or just getting in a best practice of if you're sharing a reel to your feed, it should just automatically be shared to your story. Definitely. Again, one, for more visibility, because it opens you up to that different audience. Because, Megan mentioned our days in the life. Like we post the day in life, and then if we share it to the stories, and somebody sees our stories, that just allows people to like get a little snippet
Hmm.
of whatever the reel is and then click to watch the whole reel, which then kind of leads to this rabbit hole of scrolling at that point too. People tend to go into rabbit holes on social media, right? Or at least I know I do. Like one video will lead me, uh, I'll be like 3 profiles over and 10 scrolls from where I originally
Yeah,
started.
no, for sure. And I think stories is an easy place. Like if you don't have something set in stone right now where you're posting multiple times a week and you want to get there and you're kind of like in the in between, like stories is a great place to get started and get comfortable. And I think it's a super easy place to just share like little things in your shop that are going on. Like you could literally take a picture of like the outside of your shop and say like, great start to our day, or like super excited for this Monday. And then, show some of your employees in the bay working and just sharing like, we got a busy start to our week. If you are interested in booking, and you can put your booking link, like there's little things like that you can do on Instagram stories, where I feel like it only helps your entire Instagram together, like including the news feed. Because, like Haley said, people click and then they go elsewhere. So it's like if they like what they see on their stories while they're just scrolling on their phone, then chances are they'll go to your news feed and see what you have going there if it's intrigued them, if it's hooked them. So, again, that's why it's super important just to have content that's like relatable and hooks the person to want to see more of what you have to share.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so guys, that was, I mean, wrapping up. We're still monitoring the comments if anybody's in here and wants to jump in with another comment. But wrapping up, that is today's Tuesday teaching. Kind of getting out of the mindset that search is just on Google. Even getting out of the newer mindset that search is now in these LLMs that everybody wants to show up for in AI search. AI search is now also built into our social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. So really broadening our idea of what search is. And if you didn't even know, we are even talking about the way we talk. We are even changing the way we talk about search at Shop Marketing Pros. We're no longer referring to SEO as search engine optimization. We're really moving into this terminology of search everywhere optimization. And, these social media platforms are included in that everywhere. So that's why we wanted to dive into social media search today. I feel like people can get very narrow-minded or rabbit holed into search just being on those search engine or LLM platforms, and it's much, much more than that nowadays. So as we wrap up, thank you, Hannah, for today's lesson in social search. And of course, as always, this video will live in our Facebook mastermind group. If you happen to go back and watch it later, please feel free to comment still with any questions you may have. We're always monitoring those comments, and we'd be happy to answer anything that comes up later. If you are joining us live, thank you for joining us. Let us know your biggest takeaways. And if you have any questions or comments, like we said, comment back. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.